Good morning, everyone. Well, we see really good news out there when it comes to vaccinations, and we know vaccinations keep us safe. Vaccinations what's allowing us to move forward. New York City is now the safest place to be in the United States of America because you went out and got vaccinated, and because more people are getting vaccinated every day, because the mandates are working, and because now we can finally reach our 5 to 11-year-olds. This is really great news for the kids in New York City, for the families in New York City. And we have been seeing great response at our vaccination site. Here's some breaking news. Yesterday, at our school sites alone, over 4,500 kids got vaccinated. Now remember, we had sites at some of our schools throughout the week, and into next week, we're going to have sites at all of our schools that serve 5 to 11-year-olds. But already 4,500 kids got vaccinated at our schools yesterday. Grand total since vaccination began for the 5 to 11-year-olds, almost 25,000 kids. It's amazing. So we see that parents are coming out, getting their kids vaccinated. We expect this to grow a lot in the coming days. This is another way we keep our city safe and we move forward. And I want you to hear from two of the heroes of this effort. When the history is written about how New York City overcame COVID and came back strong, these are two of the people who are going to get a lot of praise for what they did. Our school's chancellor, Misha Ross Porter, and our health commissioner, Dr. Dave Choksi, and they are on location at Central Park East School in East Harlem. Dave, Misha, are you there?
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here this morning with Dr. Choksi here at Central Park East 2 in Harlem. Thank you, Principal Smith, for hosting this day. Today, we are doing vaccinations day 2. And I'm so excited to be here with our families, with our students, who have so many reasons why this day is important. So Dr. Choksi and I are going to go talk to some of our friends who are here today, who are ready to do a lot of things, including getting vaccinated this morning.
Here we go. Let's meet who's getting vaccinated this morning. What are your names?
Carter.
And
My name is Leela, but I already got vaccinated, actually. Yeah, a few minutes ago.
How did it go for you?
Good.
Good, very good. And so you're gonna be the brave one and show all the world how we're ready to get vaccinated, right, Carter?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. We're so excited. And what's super special today is we have 2 sets of twins getting vaccinated at the same time. But I know we've heard so much from our parents about their why. And so, Dad, you want to tell us a little bit about why this is important for you today?
You know, we've just been doing what we can to keep our families safe, keep our community safe. And when it was our turn, we did it. When our 12-year-old turned, when it was his turn. And now for these guys, we just, we're ready to do what we can to.
Yeah. And that's been so important. Dr. Choksi and I have talked to so many families who've just talked about keeping healthy and keeping the community safe. And that's super important for all of us.
That's absolutely right. As we're getting set up here, the Chancellor and I were at a school yesterday as well. Over 4,400 students got vaccinated yesterday across our schools. And just as you were saying, Chancellor, the best part is hearing the whys. Yeah. Some of the whys that we heard yesterday were about gathering more safely over the holidays with kids' grandparents, with playing sports more safely, or to protect an even younger sibling, that people have at home. But maybe my favorite one from yesterday was everyone else in my family has already gotten vaccinated. I'm the only one left. And so it's really wonderful to be able to get everyone protected in the way that vaccination brings. So without further ado, let's get some more folks vaccinated. Leela, do you have any advice for Carter?
No.
You're on your own, Carter.
Woo!
Yeah.
Carter! Let's go see our other ladies because they're ready. They're excited.
All right. Please introduce yourselves to start. What's your name?
My name is Taylor, and I'm Tiana.
And how do you guys feel this morning?
I feel pretty excited.
Pretty excited.
I'm really scared.
So we have a mix of feelings. So, Mom, tell us why this was important for you this morning.
This is extremely important, for us, for our family. I personally lost 6 family members to COVID, and I'm just happy for us to just get protected and stay healthy and safe.
Well, you heard it here. What's your name again, honey?
My name is Taylor.
Taylor's going to go be the brave one, and she's going to show her sister how it's done. But what we hear over and over again from so many families, we've had loss. We want to travel. We want to get back to what is our new normal for our city, for our system. We want to protect our community. But most of all, the young people across the city have said, Mayor, I don't know if you've heard this, that they're going to be brave and they're going to step forward because they want to be healthy. So I'm going to let Dr. Choksi lead us to our next vaccine.
All right. So the thing that I'll say, first of all, is to give a shout out to all of the vaccinators, like Sabrina, our nurse here. People have been working so hard to get New York City vaccinated, and we are truly grateful to all of the nurses, pharmacists, doctors, everyone. But it takes everyone rolling up their sleeves. So thank you, Taylor. And here we go.
Done.
Nicely done.
So, Tiana, what do you think? You watched Taylor.
It doesn't seem that hard.
What do you say, Taylor?
I beat COVID.
Yeah!
You heard it from Taylor. We're beating COVID, one vaccine at a time.
You can't beat that.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll pass it back to
Back
you, Mr.
over to
Mayor.
you.
We'll see you later. Thank
love
you,
it.
everybody.
Yeah!
Talk about a happy scene.
Thank
That
you.
was amazing.
That's absolutely amazing. That was beautiful. Let me tell you, that is an amazing scene to see all those kids ready to go, parents there, so excited to make sure the kids are safe, and of course, Dr. Choksi and Chancellor Misha Ross Porter, amazing, amazing enthusiasm they bring to it. Listen to what the kids said. It didn't seem that hard. That's the truth. It's easy to get vaccinated. It isn't hard. And then I love what the other child said, I beat COVID. I beat COVID. This is how we all beat COVID. Getting vaccinated is how we beat COVID once and for all. Look at the kids. The kids often see things even more clearly than the adults. They get it. So what a beautiful scene there at Central Park East. Now look, that kind of scene was playing out yesterday all over the city at schools and will be again today throughout the week into next week. We saw a lot of energy. We saw a lot of schools where there was great demand. Now, that's a wonderful thing. There were some places where we had to do better, and we had to get supply to them and get additional help, and we did that. There's about a dozen sites where there were lines. We sent mobile vans, vaccination vans, to those sites to make sure that people could be accommodated. But it's also been a good signal to us that there's more demand at those school sites than we anticipated. So today we're going to have 24 mobile vaccination units out at schools around the city where we think demand will be high. We've added additional vaccinators, additional staff to make sure we can accommodate any parents and kids to show up to get their kids vaccinated. This is really promising that parents are embracing this the way they are. Now, you saw there the kids' different reactions, some a little bit more scared, some a little bit more eager. But what's clear is kids really perceive a lot. I can say as a parent, I was always amazed, even in the youngest years, what my kids were able to see. And I want to tell you about a note I got from little 5-year-old Indiana Chang at PS 19, who sent a note. It's a beautiful note you see there. And she said she was going to be brave. She knew it was important to get vaccinated. She was going to be brave. She was fearless. She got vaccinated. She's safe now. Congratulations, Indiana. Congratulations to all the kids, all the parents whose kids got vaccinated. This is moving us forward. Now, I want you to hear from someone who really understands how important this moment is and how important it is for families to get the answers they need and get their kids vaccinated. She has led the way on the national effort to get kids vaccinated. She has been a voice helping parents understand the science. the medical facts that they need. She's been out front encouraging vaccination for young kids, and is literally the top pediatrician in the nation as the president of the American Academy of Pediatrics. My pleasure to introduce Dr. Lee Beers.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Mayor de Blasio. And gosh, I don't know how I follow those wonderful children. That really warmed my heart. Really warmed my heart. Right, as a pediatrician, you're exactly right. Vaccines have been part of my professional career and my colleagues. It's what we've done for decades. And there's just nothing that is more successful at preventing disease and infection, which is why, pediatricians across the country are just so grateful that we now have a safe and effective COVID vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. All of our childhood vaccines are really important tools to keep our kids healthy. And I also know the benefits of this vaccine and the really rigorous and transparent and long-standing process it went through before it was authorized by the FDA and the CDC. You talked about the important protection to kids, and they talked about that. And so in addition to providing that important protection, vaccines have the power to stop epidemics. Children make up a really significant part of our population. And so our kids, they know this, they see this, you heard it, they're part of our strategy to control the virus so it can't continue to spread. I'm also a mother actually of 2 teenagers, and my children received their COVID vaccine for ages 12 to 18 as soon as it was available. And so I'm so glad it's available for younger children as well. I made that choice as a parent because it was important for me and for them, for my kids to be healthy and get back to doing all the things they enjoy. And that's the advice I've been giving to parents as well, to get their children the COVID vaccine as soon as they're eligible and as soon as it's available to them. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, it's effective, it works, it's free of charge to all people living in the U.S., regardless of their immigration or health insurance status. And all of us, you saw this, you just talked about this, we're all working very hard together to ensure that every family can access this life-saving vaccine. So thank you for allowing me to be here with you today, and thank you for all that you're doing there in New York City.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, we were all able to see an absolutely precious moment there. And I feel like, I loved your reaction to it. I feel like this is what it's all about. Just going out to the people, giving them the chance to be safe. And look, the kids are leading the way, Doctor.
They always do. They always do.
Amen. Thank you. And listen, everyone, I want you to hear from someone else who's been such a powerful voice on the importance of folks getting vaccinated, the importance of having vaccine equity, reaching people in communities. And he's also a parent, and he has a 4-year-old who will soon be reaching 5 and be ready to be vaccinated as well. So he has a lot of different perspectives on how important this moment is. My pleasure to introduce the chairman of the General Welfare Committee in the City Council, Councilmember Steve Levin.
Thank you so much, Mayor. It's wonderful to be here this morning, and thank you to Dr. Beers for those wonderful words, and to Chancellor Porter and Commissioner Choksi. It was so wonderful to see those brave young kids getting their vaccine, doing their part, and showing that leadership to their peers. I follow the data, and I see what's happening right now in New York City. We have half of the number of daily cases right now that we had in the middle of September. Half of the number of cases that we had in the middle of September. That means we're going in the right direction. Everything that we see around us indicates that we're going in the right direction. And we're leading the way here in New York City. And that's a testament to your leadership, Mayor, to Dr. Choski's leadership. And as a parent of a 4-year-old, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, but my 4-year-old is going to be turning 5 in February. And I cannot wait for her to go in on her 5th birthday and get that vaccine. And it'll protect her. It'll protect those around her. It will open up a world of possibilities for her. And it'll protect her family so that she can safely go and see her grandparents. She can safely be in any circumstance or any surroundings. And so we are doing the right thing, and we are showing the results here in New York City. And we are moving in the right direction. And so we just have to keep on doing what we're doing, and follow that data and follow the science, trust in the science. And that's how we get out of this, is to trust in the science. And I just cannot thank you all enough for these amazing efforts, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, council member, and congratulations that your child will soon be one to get vaccinated, and that's just good for everyone. Thank you very, very much for your support for this initiative. And now, everyone, I want you to hear from a member of the State Assembly. No one has done more over the years to increase access to health care for people all over this city, all over this state. And this vaccination effort, which has now reached an astounding level, where everyone is reached for free, where the vaccine is brought to the grassroots and now to youngest New Yorkers, really epitomizes the kind of things he's been fighting for years. He is the chair of the Health Committee in the New York State Assembly. My pleasure to introduce Assemblymember Richard Godfrey.
Well, good morning, Mr. Mayor. This is such a good news morning. The terrific work that the city, the health department, the education department have been doing to be prepared and to get out there and get our kids vaccinated, and the quick response in stepping up that effort in the places where it needs to be stepped up is really terrific. It's so wonderful to see the enthusiasm of the kids to getting a shot. I don't know what changed in the last several decades. Kids are now enthusiastic about getting shots. But I certainly hope that their enthusiasm wears off on people of the older generations, because getting everyone vaccinated is just so important. And the work that the city is doing here is so important. I just wish that when they were testing the vaccine on the younger children, if they had decided to start with 3-year-olds instead of 5-year-olds, then my granddaughter could be getting her vaccine, but that's going to have to wait a little bit because she's only 3. But it's a terrific morning, and I really, again, want to congratulate you, Mr. Mayor, and the Health Department and the Education Department for their terrific work, and congratulations to the kids for their enthusiasm. It's a great morning.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember. You're right. The kids are showing us something. Yeah, they have definitely gotten the point of how important it is to be safe from this disease. So it's beautiful to watch. And thank you, as always, for all you do for us in Albany. All right, everyone. So that's good news, but let's talk about some other good news in terms of bringing this city back and the recovery in New York City. We have been waiting now for a long, long time, 18 months, in fact, for the restrictions to be lifted so travelers from other countries could come back to New York City. We know how many people love this place. We know how many people have been waiting to come back here. It's finally here. International travel opened up yesterday. Thousands and thousands of travelers arriving already, fully vaccinated, I'm happy to say. People are reuniting with loved ones. They're coming back to the city they love. And one of the missing links in our economic recovery, finally, we're seeing it happen. What are we seeing already? Hotel bookings are going up intensely. We're seeing more and more foot traffic in key parts of the city. Fifth Avenue, Times Square, we're seeing tourists come out. They're ready to spend their money in this city. We are so happy about that. Broadway has helped lead the way over these last months. Broadway just welcomed back its 1 millionth customer. 1 million people have been to Broadway shows already in just the last few months. It's unbelievable. Something very big is happening, and I want to give credit to everyone who's been preparing for this day. I'm so excited to see what this will mean. So many people will get their jobs back now, so much more activity for the good of this city. Someone has been leading the way with everyone at NYC and Company. They do great work promoting this city to the region, to the country, to the world. And we've invested intensely in that effort to make sure the tourists come back. And now it is happening. My pleasure to introduce the president and CEO of NYC and Company, Fred Dixon.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Yesterday, as you said, was a truly momentous day for New York City as we welcome back our first international visitors into the city for leisure travel. And as most of you may know, under new federal rules, fully vaccinated travelers can now come to the United States if they have proof of full vaccination and a negative COVID test within 3 calendar days of travel. So that's new as of yesterday. And yesterday, 253 international flights arrived into our region's airports from all over the globe. And that's an 11% increase over a similar day in October. Of course, New York City remains the #1 U.S. destination for international travelers, and we are consistently the most booked destination for U.S. And international travelers during the holidays specifically. So we have a tremendous opportunity right in front of us with the Christmas and festive holiday season just ahead. Of course, New York City is the beacon for tourism because of Broadway, as you mentioned, and museums, restaurants, our amazing performing arts, our hotels, attractions, shops, and parks, and so much more, of course, across all 5 boroughs. Now, in New York City, international travel makes up 20% of the visitor volume, but comprises 50% of the total spending and 50% of total hotel room nights. International travelers tend to stay longer, on average 6.5 nights, and spend more. It takes the spending of 4 domestic travelers to equal the spending of 1 international traveler. So you can quickly see how important they are to our economy. And New York City is fortunate to not only be the #1 port of entry into the United States, which positions us really well, but it also has the highest share of overseas travel into the United States. We have about 1/3, or 30% rather, market share of all international inbound visitation to the U.S. On average, as I said, the spending power of 4 domestic visitors to equal the spending of 1 international. Now, the UK, of course, is our #1 international source market. And yesterday, we were really thrilled to partner with British Airways to welcome BA flight number 1001 into New York with media and with our partners at BA on board, including the CEO, Sean Doyle. We're pleased to be joining with BA and British Airways Holidays to promote New York City in the UK under the banner of our new It's Time for New York City tourism campaign. And billboards started appearing yesterday across the UK promoting the 8 daily flights that that British Airways offers into New York City. And we're so happy to have this promotion in the market to create urgency to come to New York City now. And we're also stimulating demand into the first quarter and, of course, beyond as well. And this is part of a broader effort to promote New York City internationally with a $6 million allocation of media made possible by City Hall's support and your leadership, Mr. Mayor. So thank you very much for enabling this to happen. We're launching promotion in key strategic international markets, not only just the UK, but Canada, Mexico, Germany, France, Italy, Brazil, and South Korea. And all those markets now, of course, are able to travel into the U.S. As of yesterday with proof of full vaccination and a negative test within 72 hours. We also were thrilled last night to join with British Airways and the Empire State Building to light the Empire State Building in the colors of the British flag. So hopefully a lot of folks were able to see that, commemorating this important milestone in our economic and tourism recovery. And as international travel begins to recover, NYC Company is also once again expanding our international footprint. We are reopening our outposts around the globe. So 14 of our 17 international representative offices will be open by year's end, doing the important work to drive international travel, both business and leisure, back into New York to make sure that we remain competitive, because so many destinations are going to be fighting for these same international travelers, especially in the early phases of recovery. So this is a pivotal moment in our tourism recovery overall, and really the final piece of the puzzle that we needed to rebuild tourism with the announcement yesterday and the reopening of the border. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor, for your support of tourism's recovery and for your continuing to make our destination a vibrant and safe place to visit. Our message is simple to the world. Vaccinated travelers from all over, we welcome you in New York. So thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you to you and your team who are doing outstanding work promoting this city and getting people to come back. 253 flights arriving yesterday. That's beautiful. That's music to my ears. And people are coming here because it's a great place to be, and it's a safe place to be because we're vaccinated. This is the safest place to be in the United States of America. And the travelers are voting with their feet. They're coming here. We welcome travelers from all around the world. We're particularly anxious to see those travelers come back from the UK. Great bond we share with the people of the UK. We want to see them come here, and we have this great partnership going with British Airways Holidays. This is really exciting to see this partnership, and it's already yielding a great impact for the city. I want you to hear more from one of our top international tourism partners who's doing great work. My pleasure to introduce the Managing Director of British Airways Holidays, Claire Bentley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for inviting me to be on the call with you and Fred today. It's a real honour to be here and celebrate the reopening of travel between our two countries that obviously share quite a unique and special history. Obviously, as Fred said, the USA and within that New York is our single most important destination for British Airways and travellers overseas. So it was so special yesterday to be part of that first flight that reunited loved ones after such a long time, enabled businesses to start talking face to face again after such a long period. And as well, of course, for that all-important leisure travel who just wants to treat themselves after having been shut down and prevented from traveling for such a long time. As you know, New York is definitely a firm favourite with all of the UK public, and people have been clamouring to rebook and get back to New York City. Every time there's been a positive announcement in the UK, either at the UK end or at the North America end, we've seen spikes in demand of business activity. And having seen, I think, the huge media coverage of the arrival of the flights yesterday, which has been going throughout, I know, here, but also in the UK, we saw another spike yesterday with demand of visits to our website looking for trips to New York up 70% versus 2 years ago the same day. So people are clamoring to get back. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for making sure that New York is in great shape. I was interested to see myself as we arrived into the city yesterday. You laid on the weather as well, so you've really done us proud. To see it in the cityscape in bright blue skies and sunshine was certainly a spectacle after such a long time. But the city looks in great shape, so congratulations, Mayor, on navigating the city through such a difficult and challenging period, and also congratulations to the people of New York. Already, I've noticed on the streets yesterday, people are really welcoming us back with open arms. So a huge thank you for that. So yeah, we've seen huge spikes, and I think that's set to continue. And that's really thanks to the partnership that we have with NYC and company and the promotional activity that Fred outlined. I think, we're seeing immediate demand. People are literally looking and booking to travel before Christmas, also into Q1 next year, because there's such great value on offer in the city. And, let's make sure that working together that continues. We're honoured to have this partnership in place with NYC and company over such a long-standing period and work with the team there so effectively. They really do an amazing job at promoting New York around the globe, but particularly in the UK market. So a huge thanks to them. And I'm sure with the promotional activity that we're launching and that we've got planned, we'll see people clamouring back. It's I think people have been locked down for too long, and they're really welcoming back their freedom back to travel. So I think those Broadway tickets, those hotels will get filled, those shops will be busy as people want to maybe treat themselves, having not been able to spend some of their hard-earned money over this period of time. So yeah, look out, New York City. The Brits are definitely coming back. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You have a way with words, Claire, and we're really excited to hear that. And yeah, we had the weather right for you and everything. We are so happy to have travelers coming back from the UK. Thank you for the great partnership, and thank you for your enthusiasm and your love for New York City. It's really shining through. All right, everyone, look, what you heard from Claire, we're seeing the proof of it. This is something New Yorkers should be so proud of. We're now the #1 destination for bookings any place in the country for American travelers. They're coming here between Thanksgiving and New Year's. #1 destination for international travelers too. People want to be here. They've missed New York City, and everyone knows the most magical time of the year is between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And everything's happening. The dining is there, the Broadway's there, everything's available. People are coming back, and this is going to help supercharge our recovery. So a really good day for this city. All right. Let's go to our indicators, and all begins with vaccination. This is why we're able to celebrate good news today. And number one, doses administered today, 12,163,191. Number two, daily number of people admitted to New York City hospitals for suspected COVID-19. Today's report is 99 patients, confirmed positivity level of 14.02%. Hospitalization rate today, 0.49 per 100,000. And then number three, new reported cases on a 7-day average. Today's report, 851 cases. Let me say a few words in Spanish on the vaccine effort for our youngest New Yorkers, particularly at our schools. Los padres de la ciudad están emocionados de vacunar a sus hijos. Vamos a llevar más dosis a más sitios y tendremos unidades móviles de vacunas para apoyar a las escuelas. Nuestra ciudad hará de que los niños obtengan la protección que necesitan. With that, let's turn to our colleagues in the media. Please let me know the name and outlet of each journalist.
Good morning. We will now begin our Q&A. As a reminder, we are joined by Dr. Dave Choksi, Dr. Mitch Katz, Chancellor Misha Porter, and Fred Dixon, President and CEO of NYC and Company. Our first question today goes to Andrew Siff from WNBC.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and everyone on the call. If you keep up the pace that you announced today of about 4,000 to 5,000 5 to 11-year-olds in the schools per day, and you get to about 20 to 25,000 for the week, where does that leave you percentage-wise? And what do you think the challenge will be after that, reaching the rest of that population?
You know, the schools, it's a great question, Andrew, and I'll turn to Dr. Choksi in a moment. The schools are one piece of a much bigger puzzle. We wanted to make sure that parents who were ready in the very beginning could go to one of the easiest places, the place they know and love, their local school. But what we also know is a huge percentage of parents are really going to focus on their pediatrician, and that's the place they're going to be more comfortable, that going to the pediatrician's office, connecting the child with the doctor they know. We want to move this effort energetically. So I'd say it will take a while because so many of these vaccinations will be given in pediatricians' offices. But we like what we see. We like this as a start. Dr. Choksi, you want to add?
Thank you, sir. And I very much agree. You know, we wanted to be swift in setting up as many access points as possible, particularly for this first week of eligibility. And I'm so heartened to see the demand that we have at our school sites in particular. But at the same time, as the mayor mentioned, we're focused on the long game as well. And we know that many parents will be most comfortable getting their kids vaccinated at a pediatrician whom they trust, or at their neighborhood pharmacy, or at another site. And so we're going to open up all of those access points. So we're in this both for the swift access over the next few days, but also over the long term to get as many kids who are 5 to 11, of which we estimate there are about 660,000 across New York City, to try to get as many of them vaccinated as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Andrew.
Mayor, I'm wondering, the city council continues to hold remote hearings. This news conference that we're doing right now is essentially remote. Doesn't that sort of contradict the same message that you're saying? The tourists are back, Broadway's back, the hotels are back, everybody's vaccinated. Why are all these events still remote? Is it a PTSD thing? Is it that people are not confident enough to sort of go back to normal in that setting? What is your take?
No, I don't feel, that's a good question, Andrew. I don't feel that at all. I think different places are figuring out what they want to do going forward. There's certainly advantages to remote in terms of legislative bodies where people are all over the city, or in the case of the state, the same all over the state, even the federal government allowing people to vote from different places. There's value in it. What we need to focus on is what's the best way to do things. I think what we've been doing lately really works because we're able to bring in voices from all over the city, all over the nation, and allow journalists to participate where they are. I think it just works. I don't think it's anything but that. It works. It's a good way of doing things. Over time, people make whatever adjustments they feel make sense. But clearly, we're all living life in person again in so many ways, and that's fantastic. It really depends on what works for each setting.
Our next question goes to Violetta from Univision.
Hi, good morning. My question is, yesterday in New York City, there were few issues with the vaccine. Parents were complaining about, oh, I'm here with my kids. They don't have the vaccine. Or somebody told me to come here and we don't find anything. It was like shortage of vaccine, long lines, overwhelming demand. What the city is going to do about that?
Thank you, Violetta. It's a really important question, and we saw that demand. It was actually greater than we expected, which is a very good thing. So what we've done immediately is shifted supply to the schools where there was a high level demand. We've sent those mobile vaccination vans to schools where we expect high level demand. We were able to make some of those shifts yesterday when we saw the lines, actually get more vaccine or get the mobile vans to the sites immediately. In other cases, we're going to come back to sites to give people additional time. But what we learned yesterday is there is high demand in some places. We do have the capacity to meet it. We just have to match it, and that's what we're doing this morning. I think it's going well so far today. Go ahead, Violetta.
Oh, okay, was my question. So the city, for example, today, you're gonna send more mobile unit or that places?
Yes, Violetta, yesterday, for example, PS40, there was a long line. The solution was to send a mobile vaccine van to that school immediately. And that was able to, that van was able to help address the demand there. We had other schools like PS33 where there was a lack of doses. Doses were moved immediately over there. So those adjustments were made, but there's still some to be fixed from yesterday for sure. So what we're saying is any school that was part of yesterday's vaccination effort that has more demand will open up a site again there in the next few days. We want to match the amount of activity each school to the demand levels. So we're hearing from the school community that a lot more parents want to come in and get vaccinated. We'll set up an additional day or even multiple days if needed, whatever is going to get the job done.
Our next question goes to Andrea from CBS New York.
Good morning, everyone. I've got a different question about the vaccine effort. There's still communities that have very low uptake of the vaccine for adults with percentages in the 40s. What are the implications for those neighborhoods?
Well, I think it means we've got more work to do. And I want to bring Dr. Katz and Dr. Choksi into this. But I mean, overall, look, the latest today, Andrea, for adults, we're in terms of adults in New York City who have gotten at least one dose, we're just about 87% now. That's a staggering figure. That means we've reached all communities, obviously, in a big way. But you're right, there's still some places where we need to do more. I think the grassroots efforts have worked, and we're going to continue to emphasize. We have the $100 incentive available. We're going to continue to do the outreach, working with community groups, houses of worship. Also, we expect more New Yorkers to get vaccinated as part of the public employee mandate. So there's a lot of pieces still moving. I also think parents coming and seeing their kids getting vaccinated and seeing how important that is going to encourage more family members to join in. Let me bring Dr. Katz and Dr. Choksi into this as well. Dr. Katz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The one thing I would add to what you said is that I think the mandates are making a difference. And not just for people who are subject to the mandates. But I think what's happened with the mandates is all of a sudden a group of people who were unsure, who were reluctant, who didn't know if they wanted to get vaccinated, who were worried about vaccination, got vaccinated. And I think that shows something to their social networks, to their friends, their family. It's a different message than when an enthusiastic person got vaccinated. So here we've had people who were reluctant, they got vaccinated, and we're finding that through their social networks, that's increasing the number of people around them who were also reluctant. And I really believe that with all of the success, you're going to see those numbers in the reluctant areas really grow. Thank you, sir.
I agree with that 100%, Doctor. And it's amazing what the momentum does to help other people feel good about getting vaccinated. Dr. Choksi, you want to add?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I very much agree as well. And let us be clear, the neighborhoods with the highest vaccination rates will be the most protected from COVID-19. That's why we are taking this as seriously and addressing it as energetically as we are, particularly with vaccine requirements, as Dr. Katz has laid out, but joining those with all of our efforts around further lowering barriers to access, for example, through our in-home vaccination program, providing incentives, as the mayor has described, as well as building vaccine confidence. We do this by working with faith leaders, with community-based organizations. My team goes out and sits down with community physicians and other providers to make sure they have the information they need, the vaccine supply they need, so that they're able to discuss this extraordinarily important medical decision with all of their patients. So this is an all hands on deck effort, and we're not done yet. You're going to see us continue to be committed to increasing those rates as high as we possibly can. Thank you.
Amen. Go ahead, Andrea.
The second question, I think, just to piggyback on what Andrew was saying, Mr. Mayor, do you think that these pressers will be in person for us in the media? I think that's what his question was.
Yeah, I've been really clear. I think this current approach is working. We've got, only a few weeks left in this administration. I think this approach works for what we're trying to do. We want to bring in as many voices as possible from around the city, sometimes even around the country. We want to make it as easy as possible for journalists to participate from wherever they are, and a variety of journalists. This is what we're doing now. New administration will have whatever approach they think makes sense. But this has been just a very good approach for getting the message out about what's happening as we fight back COVID.
Our next question goes to Ari from New York 1.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, Ari, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I had a question about the vote on rezoning for the New York Blood Center on the Upper East Side. The plan was to have that vote today in the subcommittee, but Pat reported that the vote has been moved to tomorrow, with a source in council saying that proponents of the rezoning are concerned they don't have enough votes in the full council to pass the rezoning. I believe you've said you'd support the rezoning. Are you concerned now that it's going to fail, and what are you doing to ensure that it passes if that is what you want to see?
Look, I think the blood center is very important for this city. I mean, we've just gone through a massive public health crisis. And even in the middle of dealing with COVID, there were times we had a huge shortage of blood. The blood center is an absolutely crucial part of the city. It needs to be strong for the future. The work that we need to do on life sciences is where we're going to create life-saving cures and medicines and approaches we need. I think this is the right direction. So I think ultimately, you've certainly seen the Black, Latino, Asian Caucus speak up on this, and the mayor-elect has spoke up on this. I think there's a lot of persuasive arguments, and the council will go through its process. But I think in the end, this is the kind of thing New York City needs. Go ahead, Audie.
Okay, thank you. And switching topics to the East River Park resiliency reconstruction effort. Construction is on hold after an appellate court put a temporary restraining order in place. It was supposed to start in earnest around Thanksgiving. City is also due in court Friday for an ongoing lawsuit dealing with the contractor that lost the bid for the East River Park. And the lawyer who brought the first suit that resulted in the temporary restraining order is also set to file another lawsuit today. And if any of these suits are successful, it could set the project back many months or up to a year if the contracting process has to start all over again. I know you can't comment on active litigation itself, but I'm curious if you have a thought on how you could have avoided having the signature resiliency project delayed by this series of lawsuits.
Ari, it's a fair question. I have to tell you, after 8 years, I have just come to recognize that lawsuits are a fact of life in this city. I think many cases are overused, but it's just the reality. I think There was an immense amount of consideration here of what was the best thing to do to protect this community after the devastation we saw from Sandy. Look, I understand people have real and honest concerns, but why is this happening? Because we saw that community harmed deeply after Sandy. We saw the hospitals harmed. We saw a huge impact, and we have to be resilient for the future. And this is a fair plan to do it. So I don't know if there's any way to stop the rash of lawsuits that's become so common in current New York public life, but I do know this is a good project, and I'm confident it will move forward and will win the day in court ultimately.
Our next question goes to Erin from Politico.
Mr. Mayor, I want to ask about the situation at Rikers Island, and in particular, you have signed this order, suspending, postponing, whatever word you want to use, what had been your plan to end solitary confinement. Just wondering, why you're doing that and for how long you think you're going to continue signing these orders.
It's an important question, Erin. Thank you. First of all, I want to note overall, we have reduced incarceration greatly at Rikers Island over the last 8 years. We reduced arrests intensely. I always remind people that juxtaposition of 2019 in this city versus the last year of the previous administration, 2013, 180,000 fewer arrests, and the city was safer at the same time. So by reducing unnecessary arrests, we reduced unnecessary incarceration. We reduced the number of people in Rikers markedly, more than cut in half. But then in terms of solitary confinement, we've reduced that down to, at this point, only dozens of people who are in solitary at this moment compared to hundreds in the past. It must be ended. I'm very hopeful in the next few weeks all the pieces will be in place. We did need to temporarily slow down because there was some of the physical reality that still wasn't ready for the new approach, and to make sure we had everything in place. I do anticipate that being done in the next few weeks. Go ahead, Erin.
Okay, thanks. My other question was just asked, so I'll go with a very simple one. How many children 5 to 11 are in New York City? What's the universe we're talking about here?
The universe that Dr. Choksi mentioned a moment ago, I want to make sure I got it right. Dr. Choksi, you can confirm. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds. That universe is 660,000. Is that right, Dr. Choksi?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, 660,000. And again, Erin, we're very excited to reach that young group of New Yorkers, and we're going to do it in a lot of different ways. But I do think some of the greatest impact is going to come from those direct conversations between pediatricians and family members. That's what's going to give comfort in moving forward. And I also think a lot of parents are going to want to bring their child to the pediatrician office for the vaccination.
Our next question goes to Gersh from Streets Blog.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, and welcome to everybody on the call. How you guys doing?
Good. Gersh, how you doing today?
Well, I want you to know I got my booster shot yesterday, so I'm excited to be healthy and on the call.
You sound vigorous. You sound very vigorous.
Yeah, well, I wasn't yesterday, but thanks for thanks for thinking so. Anyway, I would like to, start with a question for Dr. Choksi. Doctor, on May 5th, I asked you about the role that the health department has played in the health crisis represented by the automobile, and you said you would be happy to speak with me about the agency's strategy, but your press office has declined to set up that interview over many months. So I would first just appreciate you cutting through that red tape, but for now I'll just start with a question related to the health crisis of automobiles. Last Friday afternoon, a 2-year-old girl was run down and killed by the driver of a very large SUV, a death that came just 5 days after another 2-year-old was killed by the driver of a very large SUV in Queens. In both cases, reports suggest that the drivers did not see the small child. The city DOT has confirmed that the portion of fatalities involving SUVs has risen 50% in the last 3 years versus the previous 3 years. And this year will likely be worse, given how many pedestrians have already been killed in New York City, part of a national trend. So this suggests a serious public health crisis. Yet when I scour the health department's website, I see that the agency hasn't analyzed pedestrian deaths since 2014, and even the agency's review of automobile traffic has not been updated since 2009. So what is your agency doing about this public health crisis?
Before we turn to Dr. Choksi, I appreciate the point, Gersh. I'm certain he will make time to follow up with you. But Just to say, I think you're raising a bigger point about we gotta start moving away more and more in everything we do. Start moving away from automobiles and particularly larger automobiles. We gotta start downsizing for the good of the planet, let alone for the safety of our people. We gotta do both. So I think you're raising an important point, and I think it points out we gotta make some bigger changes in the way we go about things. Dr. Choksi, you want to speak to this?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And first, I just have to say that the accident that you mentioned, Gersh, and the recent crashes are all just truly heartbreaking and tragic incidents. And certainly, my heart is with the families and the loved ones of those young children whose lives were cut short far too early. There's trauma associated with those incidents, which is also heartbreaking. And to your point, it amplifies, the need for public health to be a partner in traffic safety. And we know that public health, can have a lot to offer with respect to thinking about road safety and traffic safety, particularly in how we can effectively reduce risk. Although this does involve a multifactorial approach. And I'm grateful for the mayor's leadership on this with respect to Vision Zero, because it does take a multidisciplinary approach, across agencies if we're going to have an effect on traffic deaths going forward as well. So, I stand ready, and my agency stands ready to continue contributing to Vision Zero and the next chapter of that work looking ahead. I'll offer just a little bit of, sort of my practical advice with respect to how we can keep our city healthy in this respect as well. Drivers should pause and wait before turning. They should go slow. A safe turning speed is about 5 miles an hour. And we should always expect people to be in the crosswalk. We should look for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles at all times and yield to them. And this is particularly important right now with daylight savings time having just passed, because when there's earlier dusk and darkness, it makes it more difficult for people to see. So again, thank you for calling attention to this, and we stand ready to contribute our part.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Gersh.
All right, well, since you're thanking me for that, let's stay on that topic, Doctor. As you know, late last month, the City Council had an oversight committee hearing on Vision Zero. The NYPD and the DOT attended that, but the Health Department did not, despite being a Vision Zero agency. So my question is, the Health Department is also not attending today's press conference in the Bronx about capping the Cross Bronx Expressway, though DOT Commissioner Hank Gutman is there. So let me just simply ask a basic question. When was the last time you and Commissioner Gutman sat down to discuss how your two agencies could collaborate on public health and Vision Zero?
And again, I'll turn to Dr. Choksi so he can answer you, Gersh. But I want to note, in fairness, I think you just heard it in Dr. Choksi's response, that we care deeply about this, and we want to make sure the message gets out to people how to approach life in a healthy, safe fashion, including what that means in terms of our streets. But I also want to note that this health commissioner has spent every waking hour literally fighting back a global pandemic, and it has not been business as usual, and he's had tremendous challenges on that front and done an amazing job leading us through. So I think things would have been different in a normal situation. This has been anything but normal. But to the question, go ahead, Dr. Choksi.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate those kind words. And Gersh, but the DOT and DOHMH, we are in regular touch around Vision Zero. Commissioner Gutman and I have had conversations. We can get back to you about the specifics around that. But the most important thing is that this is a multi-agency approach that involves, different aspects of city government that have been brought together under the leadership of the mayor. This pandemic has shown that when there are significant public health issues, we have to bring to bear the power of the full city government. And that's what this administration has done. And again, DOHMH, the health department stands ready to play our part. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for 2 more questions today. The next question goes to Elizabeth from Gothamist.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to ask you about, we're still getting a few scattered reports from schools that they're seeing limited number of doses at their sites. Like, for example, PS 321, yesterday, the principal sent an email to parents saying that we will have a pop-up vaccination site on Wednesday from 7 to 11. We are excited about this, but we were just told that most likely we will only be sent 50 doses of the vaccine. I am trying to get more, but I was told that is unlikely. This seems to be the exact message that the city should not be sending to parents. Am I right?
Elizabeth, when you're right, you're right. I think there was an assumption, and I want to be plain about this. It's a real reminder to, the famous phrase, never fight yesterday's war. I think we had an experience with the 12 to 17-year-olds that understandably caused our healthcare officials to think that it would be valuable to be at schools, but there would be a limited number of parents and kids who would want to take up the opportunity of schools, in large measure because of what you've heard us say many times. Not only did we see only some uptake at the schools with the 12 to 17-year-olds, we also know with the younger kids, a lot of parents want to focus on going to the pediatrician office. We have been pleasantly surprised at how big the response has been at the school level. Most of the vaccinations given yesterday were given at schools. So we've adjusted immediately. Any school that believes they need more, we're going to get them more doses, period. And that can happen right now. If PS 321's up for tomorrow, we can get them more doses today, get ready for tomorrow. We can have the mobile units available. So absolutely, we did not mean to send a message, but total ability to reach every parent who's interested, every kid who's interested, and we're correcting that right now. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
My second question is about the Daily News wrote an editorial praising your effort with vaccination mandate, but they also pointed out that the MTA, which is controlled by the state and the governor, MTA employees are not subject to vaccine mandate. I wanted to know if you were going to call on the governor to issue a mandate for those workers.
Elizabeth, I have been saying from this table, but also I've been on national television appearances for weeks saying I call on everybody out there. This is a great approach. It's working. My advice to mayors, governors, CEOs of private companies, I've said it over and over again, is move to vaccine mandates. I think it's working. So I encourage it across the board. I think it would be a great thing to do for the MTA for sure.
Our final question today goes to Yehudit from Borough Park 24.
Morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
I'm doing great, Yehudit. How are you?
I'm good. Putting aside what you have called the perfect storm of the pandemic, I was wondering how you would respond to the idea that some New Yorkers feel that at the end of your 8-year term, you're leaving the city in somewhat of a state of disarray with more garbage, more crime, more hate crimes. I was wondering how you would respond to that feeling of chaos that some New Yorkers feel.
Well, look, I always appreciate when people have feelings. You got to acknowledge their feelings, and perception matters, even if it doesn't always correlate to reality. But the facts are the facts. This is now the safest place to be in the United States of America. We have the highest level of vaccination of any major city. We are driving back the crime that we saw that resulted all over the country from the COVID crisis. We're driving it back. Shootings going down, murders going down, gun arrests going up. The facts on the ground are actually very, very promising. Sanitation Department got its funding back, went out there, is doing a great job. We had the City Cleanup Corps doing a great job. I understand there are some folks who have a dire view of New York City, but I don't buy it. I think New York City is coming back really, really strong, and I think we have a lot to be proud of as New Yorkers. Go ahead, Yehudit.
And then I'm also wondering, also putting aside the pandemic, how you feel about the broken windows theory of crime, that allowing disarray or even the feeling of disarray causes perpetrators to feel more free to commit crimes without any consequences, and whether that has been and whether that is at all affected the crime in the past year, and whether intense efforts to punish even small crimes or graffiti and vandalism could prevent violence and greater crimes.
Well, first of
Do
all,
you think there's a relationship at all?
look, I think the first thing that I'm always amazed that I say it and I'm not seeing much follow-up on it, so I'm going to urge again everyone to follow up on this, elected officials, media, everyone. The court system's not functioning. It's hard to have consequences without a functioning court system. So I'd say if we want to fix something that we could fix right this minute, get the courts back up and running. That demand should be out there. We need to see action on that front. I do believe in consequences. To your question, you hit it. I do believe in consequences. I do believe we need to focus on smaller offenses, not just bigger offenses. I think consequences are one of the things that keeps everything in balance in society. We haven't seen enough consequences because the court system's not functioning. It could be functioning again, and I say it again, the City of New York will do anything and everything to help make sure that we are supporting the state in bringing back the court system fully. But overwhelmingly, what we're seeing is this city coming back strong. We can keep improving upon it for sure. I am very hopeful for 2022. I'm very hopeful for Mayor-elect Eric Adams. But we can't always do it alone. We need sometimes the state to step forward and help us, and opening up that court system fully would be the thing that would really help us surge forward in terms of public safety. With that, everyone, look, congratulations to all New Yorkers. The success we're celebrating today in terms of our young people getting vaccinated, the success we're celebrating in terms of tourists coming now from all over the world back to New York City, the hotels starting to fill up, people coming out in the streets, participating in the life of the city. That's because you all went and got vaccinated. We can go farther now, that extra mile. We're going to keep pushing vaccination. We're going to get it done and bring New York City back strong. Thank you, everyone.